want to quickly take a look at NXT? They're obviously separating themselves from the main roster. The fact that their main PLE is not going to be a part of WrestleMania this year, Stand and Deliver. They've got one this upcoming weekend, which will be a month before Stand and Deliver, which is in St. Louis. This one's just going to be from the Performance Center. You got Tony D'Angelo against Dion Lennox of the Dark State. Tony D'Angelo and his little family used to have an issue with the Dark State. Eventually, the D'Angelo family was essentially taken apart piece by piece, and then D'Angelo recently came back on NXT television to kind of start this rivalry. You have Blake Monroe versus Jada Parker in a little bit of a street fight. That's kind of just Jada Parker just trying to get involved in Blake Monroe. She had an NXT speed match recently, and Jada Parker made her return after a little bit of an absence to NXT to kind of essentially put her name out there and attack somebody big like Blake Monroe. You've got Kaylani Jordan versus Lola Vice in an NXT Underground match. That kind of stems from the fact that Kaylani Jordan at the time represented TNA in the NXT versus TNA showdown they had a while ago. Lola Vice took some exception to that, so there's obviously been some back and forth. You have Izzy Dame versus Tatum Paxley. Izzy Dame, part of the Culling little organization. Tatum Paxley used to be with Gigi Dolan and Shotzi, but when they broke up, Izzy Dame took Tatum Paxley under her wing until obviously Tatum Paxley won one of the main championships in NXT, and Izzy Dame, kind of turned on her after that fact. And then you got your main event, Joe Hendry versus Ricky Saints, which is Joe Hendry recently winning the big ladder match to win the championship, and Ricky Saints essentially by de facto the number one contender because he's the biggest name outside of Joe Hendry on this NXT roster in the men's division. So anything you expect of interest to happen this upcoming weekend at Vengeance Day? Any title changes? Anything of excitement?
I'm not as high on this card. I am curious to see how Tony D'Angelo and Dion Lennox. I want to see how that match goes. Jada Parker's back. Blake Monroe. I'm not invested in that one per se so much. But fun fact about Jada Parker, her cousin actually played for the Bulls back in the day. Jason Caffey. Just a fun fact. I was doing a little research while we were talking. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize her cousin's a former NBA player, so no wonder she's a great athlete. It just kind of runs in the bloodline. Lola Vice, Kaylani Jordan, underground match. That's Lola Vice's playground. I think Lola Vice will win that one. And then Izzy and Tatum. I think at some point, I think Tatum's going to win. So I feel like if that's the title change, I think that's the title change because I don't see Joe Hendry dropping that title to Ricky Saints early on to his tenure as champion. As much as I like Ricky Saints, and obviously I see a lot, I think highly of Ricky Saints, I do think Joe Hendry is going to keep the title for a little bit, and maybe they'll have some sort of chase with him and Ricky for a bit, make that a cool rivalry for a little while, and develop some other talent because, let's be honest, Ricky Saints and Joe Hendry are the kind of the elder statesmen of the NXT roster right now. Joe Hendry is actually older than me, and Ricky Saints is just a little bit younger than me. So like most of the other wrestlers on this card, they're all like mid-20s, early 30s. So
I think the most interesting thing in NXT right now is actually happening not on this card, but it's Sol Ruca and Zarya and their little back and forth that they've been having with Zarya turning on Sol Ruca and then Sol Ruca showing up during the NXT Women's Championship match this week and essentially putting a stop to it for all involved, both JC Jane, the champion, and Zarya.
Why is that match on the card then? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess we're saving that for Stand and Deliver. But that seems to be one of the only major things. I enjoyed watching the WWE Speed match this past week. That saw Nikita Lyons lose in her match in that little tournament that they're currently running right now. They're always like running a tournament and things like that. I think that's how they always do it right. They're always just like crown a champion and then they run a tournament to see who the next champion is.
Yeah, it's just it's continual like that.
What was it? It was Ren defeating Nikita Lyons. It was one of my first times seeing her. I'm not a huge follower of NXT where I follow it on a week-to-week basis. So I was watching Ren for the first time. I thought her finishing move where she pulls your hands behind your back, your head while you're like down was something I hadn't seen before. When your hands are straight up, your head's facing down like you just suffered a pedigree. And then she takes your hands and kind of puts them like forward-ish over, your head, kind of pulls them into submission. I thought that was interesting to see if you get a chance to check it out. If you're not in NXT,
Ren's a really talented competitor. She's really, I think she's got a bright future. I've when I watch NXT, I can't say I'm a regular viewer. I'm more casual. I kind of come in and out when I can. But when I watch Ren, I see a future star that just needs to be a little bit. I think she's just a little raw, so to speak. I think she just needs to be molded, fine tuned by the trainers. Shawn Michaels, all the crew there. But I think there's a future star there, and I'm glad you caught that because she's got some talent. I can't wait to see what the future holds for Ren.
Yeah, for the most part of this NXT Vengeance Day, it feels just like a TV special. Nothing. I mean, that's probably why they're not maybe trying to sell tickets for it. They do it at the Performance Center. But I mean, I'll take a look, especially the two main event matches with Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley and Joe Hendry and Ricky Saints. But yeah, this isn't like Elimination Chamber. I don't think this is gonna shake up the road to their WrestleMania in a sense that I'm going to be watching NXT minute by minute after this event. But it is still happening this weekend, so it's worth checking out.